And welcome to an unnamed podcast where we talk about everything that is geek culture and related. Today, I, Jordan Kelly, am here with my friend Brock Young. We're talking about the Deadpool movie. First off, spoiler warning, we are going to ruin the movie, so if you have not yet seen it, don't
Look
watch.
away.
Okay, so first impressions, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool movie. What did you know going into the movie?
I knew almost nothing except for what the trailer showed me, so I was just like any other fresh moviegoer going to see the movie.
Okay, well, I nerded out. I did a lot of research on the trailer, on the movie, in the background, character history. Starting off the movie, we see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Just starts off with him as Deadpool. It doesn't go into anything past related. It decides to do flashbacks instead of a comprehensive story.
And let me cut you off right there. That right there actually drove me nuts. That was probably my least favorite part of the movie. They were so long, the segments of the flashbacks, and they just kept cutting in and out of the action. And I came to see an action movie, not a backstory.
Okay, so you got tired of all the flashbacks rather than just having a slow story leading up to the action.
Yeah, no, I would have rather had the backstory first, like any other normal movie. But I mean, it was creative. I give them that, but they were too long.
They're trying to adapt to evolving times. People have shorter and shorter attention spans, so people are used to YouTube videos being 2-3 minutes long.
That's true. We're going to make this one a little bit longer, just to let you know.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be longer. It is a podcast. So, with Ryan Reynolds starting off the movie that way, the biggest thing that annoyed me, this is kind of early on in the movie, so this one isn't a big spoiler, but there are people who get splattered on the highway several times. Oh, yeah. But during the first part of the car wreck, you see somebody go flying out of the car and hit a cement barrier, and he awesome. Doesn't splatter.
There were some times where they wanted to show the blood effects and whatnot, but there was other times where I feel like in that scene in particular it was rapid and they didn't want to invest the effort into it. Now there was another time where a guy splattered into one of the overhead signs and they did take the time. I don't know if it was cutting corners or what, but it did seem sloppy in some parts.
Well, it seemed like they did such a good way of trying to make it realistic, where the people were splattering, the effects were on point, really. Just the background is where it was kind of missing out on. Yeah. I don't know if that was on Marvel's side, if it was they didn't want to spend a bunch of money editing in all the other stuff.
You know, I bet this comes back to the fact that Deadpool's been canceled and brought back a million times, and that they probably had just enough money to make the movie. You know, I mean, it was mainly fan driven at this point.
Yeah, it was. From what I understand from the history of this, is Ryan Reynolds, the actor of Deadpool, has been pushing for this movie for about 10 years. He actually was Deadpool in the X-Men Wolverine Origins movie, and they decided to sew his mouth shut. And he is literally known as the Merc with a Mouth. So that movie flopped, and
you can't
everybody...
do that. That's totally wrong.
Yeah, they were totally assuming that was going to be okay, and no one was going to be pissed off about that, which a lot of people were, and that ruined why we didn't get this Deadpool movie like 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, they had to cover up their tracks. I mean, another reason why this movie probably took a long time to come out is because they were trying to revamp the X-Men series, and he's technically an X-Men. So with that in mind, they've been focusing on the main story for the X-Men. They've come out... Oh, is it?
No, he's totally not an X-Men.
I thought he was technically part of the X-Men.
No, he never joins the X-Men. He's only part of the X-Factor, which is a team of mutants that specially work for the government, and Wolverine just happens to be on that team.
Oh, so he's kind of like, okay, never mind. Well, okay, ignore me. I'm obviously not that big of a nerd.
Yeah, like I said, I did all the research for this one. Brock was kind of going into this one with no research.
I just assumed from the movie they kept trying to get him to go on join the X-Men, so I assumed it would happen eventually.
Well, he does team up with the X-Men in a variety of adventures, which I imagine we're going to be seeing him in the new X-Men Apocalypse movie coming out. When is that one supposed to come out, Brock?
This summer.
This summer, okay. We also have, another Marvel's movie coming out. Multiple other DC movies coming out. We're looking at the Justice League coming out on top of another Avengers movie. It's all... For Marvel, it's all going to be leading to the Infinity Wars. That's where it's all pointing.
That looks crazy. That's something I never knew about until this whole superhero movie genre kicked off, with Spider-Man and Hulk and whatnot when I was a kid. And now it's gotten such a big following that they're having so many extra characters brought in and different movies made about those characters, and it's just awesome, and I can't wait to see what it leads up to.
Yeah, it's insane trying to follow Marvel at this point. They've got TV shows going, they have movies, they have all sorts of things going in different directions, and it's all incorporated into the Civil War movie that's coming out, Captain America, next month.
Yep.
And the Infinity Wars in the end, where we're going to be seeing a lot of superhero deaths in the Civil War movie if they follow the fan base.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, this may be a spoiler for some of you. Spider-Man's the first one to die in the Civil War storyline, so
I don't like the new Spider-Man anyway.
Well, yeah, they're putting him into the Civil War movie, or they're either going to completely remove him from the storyline because they're revamping Spider-Man again for a third time.
Well, good, because Sony needs to let go of that and let Marvel have it back, because I'm tired of their messed up collaborations that just don't look good. I mean, it's the same thing with Fantastic Four, off topic, but the same kind of thing going on there.
Well, I was actually thinking of Fantastic Four as well. It really seems like they're trying to get the Spider-Man franchise and the Fantastic Four to take off. They made several renditions of the series, and every time they're like, no, they scrap it and then they start over anew. So they're really trying hard to get that series going.
Yeah, those are just some series they need to leave alone for a while. Let the wounds heal, because those movies are garbage. I mean, they're cool looking, don't get me wrong, but they're not what fans expect. And I think that's another reason why they fail so hard, is because they have failed in the past, and that's what everyone that's how it goes. So let it heal and just go on doing other films, and then bring them in later with the correct companies directing them and whatnot.
See, that's why I loved Guardians of the Galaxy whenever it came out. Nobody really read the Guardian of the Galaxy comic book. Nobody knew who they were.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, and then Marvel brought them front and center to everybody to call their attention and knocked the movie out of the park. Everybody loved it. They wouldn't shut up about it. We still hear about the movie today.
Yeah. It was. I think that's in the same category as Deadpool. Not per se like the fact it's rated R or anything, but it's kind of like the off-the-wall, character-based movie that isn't exactly in the mainstream story. You've got the Avengers, so you've got Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor. Those are their four main ones. And you've got Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool, which are kind of like off the wall, and they're not exactly part of the main story. So that's what those movies are like. I'd say that's how Deadpool is.
Yeah, the reason why they're pushing hard with this Deadpool, and I think Guardians of the Galaxy both, is because they're actually the biggest series of Marvel to kind of tie everything together. Deadpool has been in just about every Marvel comic book series. Okay. Just even as a side-in character coming in, he travels through dimensions in his own comics. He breaks literally reality.
Oh yeah, I noticed that in the movie. He kept looking at the character or the actual audience. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, fourth wall breaks are something that he does best. But this is going way to the end of the Deadpool storyline. But he breaks through reality itself in another story, comic book arc. Deadpool, and then just Thor came along, torched him with his hammer again, and they separated and went their own ways.
That sounds like a difficult life to live.
Yeah, well, that makes you interested on why they're not doing that. I guess it would be hard to have multiple voices going while they've also probably are going to bring him into the Avengers.
Yeah.
They're probably going to bring him into the next X-Men movie, without a doubt, for Apocalypse.
That one's without a doubt, because that's all I saw in the new Deadpool was X-Men. I didn't see anything about Captain America or Thor or whatnot. The only thing from the Avengers I saw was the helicarrier. That's it.
Well, it was a destroyed helicarrier that was just part of a battleground that they were using.
Yeah, that was as close as it got.
Yeah. If for the movie-going audience, if you stayed after the credits to watch any teasers, they just teased a Deadpool 2 movie, which they are going to bring Cable in on that one. I was kind of expecting that whenever Cable wasn't part of this one, which I thought he was going to be whenever I first saw the trailers. But this one was more about bringing some light upon Colossus, which he was much more like the comic book than what he was in.
He sounded like a real hero, you know.
He's a real Russian in that. In
yeah,
the movie.
Exactly. He definitely sounded it. He just sounded like he was for the good, and he could whoop anyone's ass, and he did.
Yeah, he was very a lot more to the comic book, a lot less the like muscle-bound college freshman that they had in the original X-Men movies. Didn't care much for that version.
Yeah, no, that was not cool.
Let's see, what was the new X-Men girl that they had to bring in?
Oh man,
there's so many of them. I forget their names.
Is she a part of any of the old series?
I'm sure she is. I mean, I haven't read all the comic books. There's story arc after story arc after story arc after story arc, so it's hard to keep up with all of them anymore.
It seemed like she would have been a new character though, because the way they introduced her as being a teenager, that's a modern teenager,
yeah,
and, tweeted and whatnot. I mean, that's something very now. That's not something you would see in like an '80s comic book.
Yeah, it's not.
So I don't know if she's old or what.
Well, I thought it was going to be Charmcaster whenever I first saw her, to be honest. I didn't expect her to have the powers that she did. But she seems like they're going to make her a prevalent part of the next X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Just because she's got her own form of comic relief that's kind of... It paralleled that of Deadpool's, honestly, for the movie. Deadpool was off the wall, zany. She was very... Straightforward, depressing,
yeah,
emo college chick.
I don't know what she was. She was different. I liked her though. She was definitely a good part of the movie.
Oh yeah. So I think we're going to be seeing an X Factor movie at this point. With they were teasing during the movie that talking about Deadpool teaming up with the X-Men. So either he's going to be in the Apocalypse movie whenever they need his help, or they're going to be making an X Factor movie with Deadpool, Wolverine, and other characters.
That would be very cool to see.
All right. Now, have you seen anything for the new Suicide Squad movie that's going to be coming out?
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I don't like it. That's it just looks like crap to me. I don't like what they did with the Joker. I know this is probably just biased because I like Keith Ledger a lot. Is it Keith Ledger? Heath Ledger. Okay, my bad. His character was just spot on. Just awesome. That's exactly how I picture the Joker. Not per se a meth addict that is just crazy.
Yeah. Well, the Suicide Squad's going off a different story arc from the Dark Knight series. The Dark Knight, the Joker was definitely a chaotic evil. In the story arc that they're going off, he's definitely still evil, but he seems a lot less chaotic. He seems like he's not going to try to blow up the entire town.
Right.
He just seems like
he had a bad childhood or something.
Yeah. The Suicide Squad movie seems like it's going to be mostly focusing on Harley Quinn, is where it's going to be directed towards.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I've read into the Suicide Squad comics. I've actually seen the animated movie that they did, and if the animated movie is anything to go off of, we should see somebody's head blow up in like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I don't know if they'll do that or not. It's probably going to be a PG-13 film as well, so I don't know.
See, this what I was really enjoying about the Deadpool movie is it was rated R. They kept it natural to the comics. It didn't really stray too far from the comics, and it was really good, honestly. And that's what more superhero movies need to be. They need to get rid of this PG-13 being ideal for kids.
Yeah,
and
just example, like the first Thor or the second Captain America. They were just not the best.
Yeah, see, they could have been so much better, but they decided that they were going to make it PG-13, good for all audiences, and it just didn't work out for them, in my opinion. With this rated R, on the Deadpool movie, I think that's probably the best thing they could have done, keeping it natural.
Yeah, very much so. It was okay. It's not for kids, but it was definitely for us. That's all I have to say. It was freaking amazing.
It was definitely for young adults, perverted old men, just anybody who likes a good cock-a-ball dose.
Yeah, I think at one point they made a joke about Deadpool tickling Wolverine's nuts and how they felt. So just think about that.
You would imagine that after the Punisher shot Wolverine's nuts off, he would probably be missing one. But that health factor, man, don't you wish you had that? Let's see. So other than the Deadpool movie, what else would really happen this week?
This week, well, off of movie subjects, the gravitational waves
Oh yes, the scientists have discovered gravitational waves for the first time. They've actually recorded it, which is astounding. That's actually proof that Einstein was right about his theory of relativity. That's actually a way to start using to kind of carbon date when the universe was created, when the Big Bang actually happened, and that is a small breakthrough towards trying to control gravitational waves. Because now that
now that they know how they propagate, then you can calculate a whole bunch of other stuff off of that.
Yeah.
And do you know how it was formed, the waves? Do you know what actually made it happen?
I didn't get to read all the way through. What all have you found out?
Well, I found out it was two supermassive black holes, like the ones that you find at the center of a galaxy that hold the whole galaxy together. They were orbiting around each other, and this happened for about 1 billion years. They would orbit each other, and they get really, really close. And then within the last second, they speed up to half the speed of light, something with that much mass going that fast, and then they collide. And then whenever they collide, it's just crazy. The amount of energy that is released is ungodly. The gravitational waves propagate out, and actually the ones that they heard are over 1 billion years old themselves.
Over 1 billion years. So that's...
And that the wavelength was so small, it was actually half the width of an atom. And the only reason they were able to detect this is because they have like a several $100 million piece of equipment in... I don't know how it works, I can't remember, but it's just crazy that they were even able to pick up on something like that. It was super sophisticated.
It's honestly astounding how they would even pick up on that. I mean, it's why... It's kind of to the point, like, people question why we've got these satellites sitting out in the middle of Nevada looking for extraterrestrial life and examining the universe and everything. And it's like, look, if we're not looking, we'll never find anything to begin with. We shouldn't give up before...
Yeah, that's something that makes me really happy, is the fact that
we've actually found something.
Yeah, there's people with the curiosity to keep going on and find stuff like this out. I mean, otherwise life would be really boring, and all we would be doing is drawing on cave walls, you know. I mean, without that drive, we're screwed.
Yeah. Let's see, what else has happened in this game? Video game news. The Witness. Have you seen anything about that game?
No idea.
So it really seems like it's made for the Oculus. It's a first-person view puzzle game that you go through. There's no tutorial, no narrative. You've got to solve the puzzles on your own. It starts off easy, so you find out a little rule for the puzzle. Say, like, shadows are overlapping, or you've got to separate white dots from black dots.
Okay.
And then you've got... the puzzles get gradually harder. And ultimately, your goal is to solve a series of puzzles to light up a light that goes to the center of the island into a lighthouse.
Okay.
And you have, like, I think it's over 20 different lights to activate. It's a super long game.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but there's no real narrative to it. I'd find myself hard to finish the game without a story, without anything really pushing me. Mm-hmm. There are, like, little audio bites you're able to pick up, but that just... It
sounds like one of those games that you have to have, like, the Oculus for, like you said, and otherwise it's just boring. So to each his own, I suppose.
Yeah, to each his own. Definitely an acquired taste of a game. I mean, I love puzzle games. Just whenever you're walking around an island, you're going around, it looks beautiful. It is a beautiful game. It's just they mix the beauty in with all the puzzles. I believe what else came out was Firewatch?
Oh, now that looks cool. That's a storyline game, and I love storyline games. I have a bias towards them. I like them. So that looks very cool, especially with the graphics as. And I read something about how in depth it was. I mean, it gives you choices at the beginning of the game in a main story that kind of like sets up the character for you and lets you feel the game. And so you, with that first bit of text that pops on the screen, it's the first thing that pops up. You learn about the character, you make choices for him. Now, they're not exactly big choices, they don't change the character that much, but it helps to really put you in the game. And, it'll get you right in the universe and get going. And it really invested me in the game, so I really liked it.
So there's no 2 hours of being on a character creator screen, making my guy look like he's a ghoul from...
Right, yeah, there's none of that crap because it's all first person.
Okay.
So you never really see yourself except for, your hands, and that's easy to see. They're just hands. So, yeah.
Okay, so that game, I imagine it's probably taking place back in like the 1960s, whenever fire watchmen were actually needed to watch for rain fires or forest fires.
Yeah. Well, it actually takes place now. It
Okay.
still takes place now, but it's in a really, I can't remember where, but it's up and
Really isolated location.
yeah, like Yellowstone or whatnot, and it takes place now, and it actually is a story between you, the main character, and another fire watchman, which is actually your ex-wife at this point. And it's really weird because you have to work with her and whatnot, and that actually puts a sense of feeling on you to be the character, and you feel the same way he does. So all the stuff that goes on in the game, you feel it as if it's actually yours, and it's really
So I get the joy of running into a fire and having my ex-wife nag in my ear at the same time.
pretty much.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's wonderful. I know so many people who love talking to their ex-wives, who love to get nagged at while they're trying to work. I mean, that makes...
Oh yeah, you have to work with your ex-wife. There's tension there already. It's just so great. No, I'm just kidding. The story keeps going, and it's actually very cool. I mean, it's like finding the movie you love and then watching it a million times. Except for this one's much longer than a movie, obviously.
Okay, so we've got video game. We've had some science news recently. We've already covered the Deadpool movie. We talked about some future movies coming out. Personally, to everyone on my channel, I want to say thank you for waiting for this video to come out. I've had some hard times with my computer. Apparently, the hard drive has fried, so I've got to buy a new one. I'm using someone else's for now. This has been the Unnamed Podcast. Hopefully by next week we'll either have a name or that might just stick. I don't know. I don't know if anybody has that name. We'll
do some research.
Yeah, we got to do some research. But we just wanted to record something and get it out. So thank you all for watching this long. If you managed to make it to the end, please leave a comment in the section down below. Like and subscribe. We will be making weekly updates. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.